What's shaking, my friends? Welcome back to the channel. My name is Shay, and today is the start of the amazing readathon. I could not be more excited to turn the page from May and get into June, and the first prompt has dropped, and we are going to the land of Oz. And of course, that prompt is read a book with green on the cover. And so my green book, of course, was one that I had to read physically. It's the only one I have in the entire TBR that I have to read physically. Now, lately, I have not been reading physically very fast. So I knew that this one, that particular prompt and that particular book I picked for that prompt would be a difficult task for me because it would take me longer. And lo and behold, it's the first book that we are going to read this month, and that is going to be Sister of the Dead by E.C. Greaves, the first book in the series being Daughter of the Beast. This was a SPFBO 9 finalist, not this one, but the first book, and I thoroughly enjoyed it, but it's been a year and a half since I read that particular book. And while my memory is not super good, I remember the overarching plot and some of what has happened in the first book, and I dived into the second book. First of all, I want to say that E.C. Greaves, wonderful human, and he actually did the art on the covers himself, and that is fantastic because this is fantastic cover art. Anyway, I picked this book up and I am 100 pages in, so 30% into the book, and I actually really flew through the first 100 pages of this book. Is it slower than the first one? Yes, I do think it suffers maybe a little bit from middle book syndrome. However, I am enjoying my time, obviously, because I flew through it very quickly. But I'm slowly remembering these characters. I'm slowly remembering why I loved the first one. And again, we are on this quest and this journey in this one, and I am bound to love this too. So the first one, Daughter of the Beast, we open up with this girl. She's about 10, and her village gets raided by these creatures, and she thinks they have all died, and they take her as prisoner. And so it's her kind of being raised behind enemy lines, which is a great trope that I personally love to read about. I've read a few books like this and have adored my time with them. So she is raised behind enemy lines from the time she is 10 years old, and we see her grow up and kind of align with her enemies in that way. So it's very interesting. It's a very interesting take on a story, and we are continuing our journey in this one, and I am loving it. Also, the sightseeing or extra prompts have been dropped for the Land of Oz. I am going to pick one of those books in case I finish this and I still have a long commute in front of me and I want to get all the reading in that I can. So I'm going to go ahead and pick a book that fits that prompt. Will I read this? Not necessarily, but I want to have it in my back pocket in case I finish this book and want to jump into another one before the prompts drop. So the one I chose to go with, we had several prompts to choose from, and I chose to go with special edition because I have a lot of special editions. I've been buying a lot of special editions. I have a lot of subscription boxes, and I feel like I'm not very good about reading those specific special editions. So what I did was I created a wheel that has 4 special editions on it that I know that I can find the audiobook and that are a little bit shorter, so it won't take me super long to read. And let me pull this up. These specific special editions that I chose are The Honey Witch, In the Lives of Puppets by T.J. Klune, The Curse of Saints, and Spice Road. All of these are books that I probably received quite some time ago and just have never read. So here is our spinner wheel. I don't know if y'all can see that, and we are going to spin. So that is the Honey Witch, I think, if I'm reading this correctly. Yes, the Honey Witch. Now, this book does not have the best ratings, but it is a stunning special edition, and I think it's more of a cozy fantasy. Y'all know I don't really jive with cozy fantasy. However, I am willing to give this one a shot. Especially what intrigues me is because it's lower rated, because I tend to love the lower rated books. I love the ones that other people don't like. So it bodes well for me maybe. So The Honey Witch, fantastic. I am going to continue reading Sister of the Dead, and I will check in when I have additional thoughts to share. Let's talk about Sister of the Dead by E.C. Greaves. I definitely liked the first book more. I think that this book suffered from middle book syndrome. There was a lot in here that was not needed to either further the plot or further the characters, and I just think the pacing was off. So yet to be seen whether I'm going to read book 3, but I still really enjoy these characters. I love the little romantic relationship in here. I love the found family. I still love the characters, and so I'm not quite sure if I'm going to continue on to book 3 or not. But it is time for me to read The Honey Witch, which I'm super excited about. So I'll check in when I get some into the book. So I am driving, but I had to check in and tell you guys that I am 50% into The Honey Witch. And I can understand why the reviews are like they are. I haven't read any of the reviews, but I'm talking about the ratings. So this is a cozy fantasy romance. So right there, you know, it's probably not going to be for me. And I need to be better at researching fairy books, so I will know whether to skip them or not, because I would have skipped this one. But basically we're following our main character, and she finds out in the beginning of the book that she is a honey witch. She knows that since she was young, she's been able to hear things, talk to things that technically you shouldn't be able to talk to. And finally, she learns from her grandmother, against her mother's wishes, of course, that she is a honey witch, and she is meant to take over her grandmother's throne because her grandmother is ill and about to die. And so she agrees to do this. And the town that her grandmother is from, there's only one honey witch, and her job is also to protect people and shield the people, hide the city through magic from the Ash Witch. So all of that sounds very interesting. I think the fact, you know, again, fantasy, that we are coming into somebody who realizes they're a witch or has some kind of powers, and they have to figure it out, and, you know, there's a big bad, right? That all sounds very interesting to me. The problem is that's not the focus of this book. So once she agrees to be the honey witch and she moves away, basically all the learning of her being a honey witch is passed over, and the big bad Ash Witch is forgotten, and we are just basically in this love story. So once her grandma passes away, my God, she's the best honey witch ever. She just takes right over. Then we have her falling in love with somebody who they don't really hit it off. They don't really like each other at first. I guess that's considered enemies to lovers. Because also the thing about being part of this magic or being a honey witch is that nobody can ever fall in love with you. So that's where we are. 50% into the book. Of course, me being a fantasy lover, I want more world building. I want more about the witches and the magic and the power and all of that. And you just, unfortunately, do not get it in this book. And that's because of what the genre of this book is. And that's why I don't like this genre. And people do like cozy things. But I think I said previously, and not that many videos before, that I am an epic fantasy girly. I want my epic fantasy. And so for us to just kind of bypass things that I'm most interested in, I don't know. I'm also not convinced with this romance. This is a sapphic romance, and I'm just not convinced. I'm not convinced yet that I care about the characters enough, okay? Because also one thing about a cozy fantasy, since, you know, the main focus is not really on the plot per se, it's supposed to be on the or a cozy fantasy romance, it's supposed to be on the romance. And so in order for that to happen, you have to like the characters. And I feel like in a cozy fantasy, you're supposed to like the characters more anyway, because the plot is like at the back end. So I'll keep going and see what I think about this book. I don't think I'm going to complete this book before the next leg of the Amazing Readathon starts, which is fine. I don't think there's any issue with that. I can still submit my points. I just won't get double points, which is okay. All right, I'll check in when I finish. So I know that the AC is on, but I'm filming this anyway because I am like exhausted and I'm about to just drop and fall asleep. But I wanted to update and to tell you guys that I finished The Honey Witch. And I actually overall really loved the latter half of the book a lot more than the first half of the book. I fell to like the characters and like the romance in that latter half. I still had issues with the fantasy portions of the book. What happened in the end of the book was absolutely positively predictable. The fantasy elements were very weak. It was mostly just a love story, and I think it would work for somebody who likes cozy stories and stories that have a love element to it. I don't think it will work for just regular fantasy readers. However, I did wind up again liking the relationships in here, and eventually getting to these characters kind of warmed their way into my heart. So I am going to wind up giving this 3 stars. I still think that this is a stunning addition. I mean, look at this. It's got bees on it. Look, it's like got foiled little end papers. The inside book is gorgeous. You can't see it, but it's like a honey pot on there. And overall, this is a stunning edition. And so it's yet to be seen whether I'm going to actually keep this on my shelves or not. I do want to say that something really terrible has happened today. I don't know if you know this, but during this challenge, during last month, I am really trying to get sequels and own my own TBR down. We said, yes, I'm going to read some of my own TBR. We're going to get it down. Well, something really bad happened today. Today, the site-wide Audible sale started, and tomorrow is my birthday. So, y'all, what? So I've already purchased some things, and then I'm going to go back and think about what else I need to purchase. However, I will say that the books that I've purchased thus far on audio are continuations on series that I needed to continue on in the series, and audiobooks that are like Audible exclusives, and I own the physical copy, but I would like the audio copy. So far I haven't really added a lot to my own TBR, but I have added a few because I've brought some of those sequels. But I don't know, I probably will buy more, but I probably shouldn't, but I probably will. Also, the next prompt did drop, and it was, we moved on to read a book with a violent word in the title, which for that violent word, I am going to be reading The Last Murder at the End of the World, and so I'm super excited. Gonna start this, not tonight because it's really late, but I'm gonna start this tomorrow, and hopefully it's fly through it pretty quickly. It seems to be a rather shorter read. We'll see how I feel about this, and I will pop in when I have thoughts. So I'm in the car again, and it's raining outside, and I just have to say that I am about probably 60% into The Murder at the End of the World. What's that called? By Stuart Turton. I actually am not hating it like I thought I would. I don't know why I keep thinking that books that are rated low I'm going to hate because everybody else hates them. I am not. We are kind of following these people that live on an island. So around the world, these big sinkholes opened up, and this mist came out of them and killed majority of the population. But there were these very smart scientist people that invented this barrier that would keep this killer mist back, and they put it around this island, and they put out a thing that said, hey, if you are a survivor, come to this island, we can save you. And so there weren't that many. There were a few hundred that ended up coming to the island, and of course they've been on this island for quite a long time. The island has been around for some time, and so we still have these elders who don't really age, which the elders are these scientists, and we know that there are secrets that they are keeping from the overall population, and it's very interesting to see how they live this life and then try to figure out what is the secret, what kind of secret are these people keeping. I like it. I like it. And then there was a murder that happened, obviously the last murder at the end of the world, that is basically may kill out this population. So we did get like a twist or a reveal at about 45%, which I'm not going to say that I didn't see it coming, but I still am enjoying my time at 60% mark. I don't know why this book gets so much hate, and it may be because of the way that this is told. Majority of this book is told through this being that lives in their head named Abby. He's like the security of the island, and he is in your head talking to you at all times. He can read your thoughts. He knows exactly what you're doing and when you are doing it. And so maybe that is the reason why people have such a hard time. Maybe it's the writing style or the way the story is told.
Stuart Turton always has like some weird ways he tells his stories, like the 7.5 Deaths of Evelyn Hardcastle was told in a very weird, wacky format. And I gotta be honest with you, I DNF'd that book, but I have been curious to go back and read it because everybody talks about the twist and all of that. And I couldn't even get through it. And part of that is because of the narration, the tone, the writing style. But I may be interested to go back and read it. But anyway, I'm 60% in. I am enjoying my time with this story, and I will pop back in at the end and tell you my final thoughts when I get there.
So, since we last spoke, I have had an adventure in our house. We had lice. So, that was very fun when you have young children. I feel like everybody goes through that point in their lives when they have lice. This is our first time with lice, and my children are 12 and 8. So, I feel like we've done good getting this far in age without lice, but we had lice, and so we had to go get deloused and everything, which kind of, decreased my reading time. But I did finish The Last Murder at the End of the World. I'm going to give it 3 stars. I don't understand why this book gets as much hate as it does. It has like a 3.6 average on Goodreads. Now, me personally, the reason why this book got 3 stars was just because of the twist, or the shocking thing that was supposed to be shocking was like just not very shocking to me. But I feel like somebody who doesn't read a lot of mystery thrillers, or doesn't read, this is like a dystopian kind of apocalyptic mystery thriller, I think that they should be shocked by this. I actually liked the characters in this, but I thought the book was entertaining, so I'm not quite sure why it gets as much hate as it does. But there you go. I did end up liking the characters and everything. So I don't know. If I gave half stars, it'd probably be a 3.5. I couldn't give it a 4-star just because I thought that, again, the twist was not anything and it was very predictable, which is what I look for in giving mystery thrillers high ratings, but some people should have been shocked by this. So it's time to move on to my next book, which is The Night Ends with Fire, because the new prompt dropped and it's over the top cover, and this is the book that I chose for over the top cover because of all the colors, the foiling of the book, and I'm really excited to dive in. This is a Mulan retelling, I believe. I'm really happy that I am reading books that are actually on my owned TBR, that I physically own, and I feel like I'm making a dent. I feel like I'm reaching some goals. Hopefully I can finish this book tomorrow. Me and my husband are going on a date night tonight. We're going to see Mayday Parade in concert, and super excited about it. But I should be able to finish this tomorrow. The audiobook is like 13 hours, and I'm going to immersion read, so I'll be able to put it on a high speed as I read along physically. So super excited about that. I will check with you guys when I get into the book. Okay, I am 50% into The Night Ends with Fire, and I'm having an okay time with this. I'm not having the best time, not having the worst time. It's just fine. We are following our main character, Malin, and she comes from a family who used to be well off and rich, but her father has developed an opium addiction and unfortunately has spent all of the money. And so in order to pay the debt collectors, she is being married off for her dowry so that they can get back into somewhat good standing. Malin sneaks out of the house to see who she's going to be married off to, and what she finds is this older man who's abusive, and she knows that she does not want to live like this. So she disguises herself as a man to enlist into the army and to fight in the war. Tragically also, her mother has died, and her mother is known to have been mentally ill and then dies, and she always wonders, is the mental illness going to be passed to me? Well, I don't want to say too much because I think it will spoil the book. There is also a romance in here, which I also enjoy. I do think, the fantasy elements or the world building is not as good as I personally like it in my fantasy stories, but I'm not hating the book, and so I'm going to keep reading. I do not care for our main character, female character, that much, and that's just because she is very, I don't know, she does some weird, stupid things, and maybe it's because she's young. I also think that this would lean more towards YA. I don't know exactly what made them market this as an adult book. I'm only 50% in, so I don't know what happens. But right now, it's just so-so. And I'm going to keep reading, and I'll check back in when I finish the book. Okay, so last night I finished The Night Ends with Fire. I gotta say that if I gave half stars, this would be like a 3.5 stars, but I went ahead and rounded up to a 4 because I do think there were some entertaining qualities in this book. Was it cheesy? Yes. Was it predictable? Yes. But overall, I was entertained. And in a book that I'm entertained in, and a book that I plan on continuing on with the next in the series, I think it was worth the read, and I'm going to give it 4 stars. Now, I did figure out why this book is in the adult section, and that's because it has some spice in it. And I would say that this is more like a new adult genre. Besides that spice scene, it really read like younger characters, and the main character was very impulsive, and some of the decisions she made was like really crazy. Also in here, there's kind of a love triangle, and I believe there's probably going to be more in the second book, but just so you know, if you don't like a triangle, this may not be for you. But I enjoyed my time, and that's going to be it for this vlog portion of the Amazing Readathon. I do plan on continuing on. The next prompt is going to drop today at some point, so I don't know if I will have time to do a sightseeing prompt. Of course, I could start something, but I don't know if I would finish it in time. But anyway, or if I'm just going to wait for the next prompt to drop. But I do also want to say that I did wind up going to see Mayday Parade, and I will insert some clips here. We had such a fantastic time. I'm also celebrating 22 years with my spouse. We haven't been married for 22 years, but we've been together for 22 years, and that seems like a long time. So we just celebrated that, and we had a great time. Sad that we had LICE this week, and it was also my birthday this week, but I got LICE for my birthday, and that's just fine. But all of that is fine now. It was a disaster, but everything is fine, and I will catch you guys in the next one.